In today's video, we will learn some scientific techniques to help you read a textbook in the right manner, grasp the relevant information from it, remember it for a long time, and do all of this in the shortest possible time frame. Hey everyone, this is Chetna and you're watching ChetChat, and this is ChetChat's masterclass on how to read a textbook effectively and remember what you've read. But before we begin, please press that subscribe button and the bell icon right next to it, and also give us a thumbs up because that motivates us. So in today's video, I'm going to give you a step-by-step process of how to read a textbook effectively, and towards the end of the video, I'm also going to give you 3 bonus tips. Now, these techniques are scientifically based on the science of how memory works. So it doesn't matter which book you're reading or how old you are, these techniques are going to work for you. I would also like to thank our sponsor for this video, Plum Goodness. Plum is a 100% vegan skincare brand that uses natural and skin-friendly ingredients. Their green tea range of products are especially designed for oily, acne-prone skin types, and I've loved using them. I've tried the soap-free face wash, the alcohol-free toner, a mattifying moisturizer, and their award-winning clay mask. Oily skin is difficult to manage, and that is why you need all-round care. Plum products are gentle and effective, and you should definitely give them a try. And what's more, you can get a 10% off on their combo offer available on their website using the code which is up here on the screen. And I'm going to drop links to this in the description box. And now let's begin with how to read a textbook effectively and remember what you've read. Step number 1, know your goal. Take a strategic approach. Know how you're going to be tested on this book. Is it MCQs or long answer types? Short answers or fill in the blanks? Knowing this before you begin reading helps us take a big picture approach on the book. Step number 2 is called impress. Create the right first impression. Say a new girl has joined your school and you want to make friends with her. Chances are you're going to ask people, hey, who is she? Where does she come from? Before you start making that first conversation with her. Similarly, to create a good first impression on your memory, you need to prime your brain. Maybe you want to read an overview of the content on the internet, go through a video or a documentary. Become familiar before you dive in. Remember, content is king, but context is God. Step number 3 is called systematic skimming. Now, when you begin to have that first conversation with this girl, chances are it's going to hover around the bigger topics, like which cities you've lived in, what do your parents do, how many siblings do you have, which school did you go to earlier, etc. Similarly, when you start reading that book for the first time, now that you've already made that good first impression, try making friends with the book. Skim the chapter, go over the points in bold, the blurbs and the headings, and formulate a big picture in your mind. Step number 4 is called associate. This is like sitting down with your book and reading the chapter from start to end. It's a bit like sitting down with your friend and having a long conversation with her. Now, chances are you're going to associate some of the things you find out about her. For example, you may say she resembles my cousin, or she likes chocolate cake just like my neighbor. Similarly, building associations with your text helps you remember it for a long time. For example, the date on which the war began was my dad's birthday, or the character's name resembles my friend's. Step number 5, engage all your senses. Now imagine taking dozens and dozens of clothes and trying to hang them up on a wall on one single hook. Chances are some of them might stay and most of them are just going to fall down. What we need is multiple hooks at different points on that wall. Likewise, our brain is that wall, and reading the book is the one hook on which we are trying to put all the information and hoping that it stays. Like that, we need to create multiple hooks in our brain, and our senses are those multiple hooks. 1. Sight. How do we develop a photogenic memory to help us recollect the entire text visually? I found that trying to remember which corner of the page the information appeared on helped me recall it better in the exams. Also, think in pictures. The more grotesque or vivid the images are, the more likely we are to remember it. Make mind maps, charts and diagrams, maybe see videos and documentaries. 2. Sound. Sound will help us create new associations in a different part of the brain. So read out aloud, especially the keywords, you must read them aloud. Teach someone or discuss it with a classmate. You know, there was a friend of mine who would come and tell me a new joke every single day. And one day I said to her, hey, how do you even remember all these jokes? Because I just read a joke and forget it instantly. And she said, that's because I tell it to you. So telling and retelling information helps in retaining it greatly. Also, use the Feynman technique to store information in your long-term memory. Teach it to a small child, identify your gaps, go back to the source material, review it, come back, teach it to the child again until the little one completely understands what you're trying to say to them. 3 is writing. The tactile act of writing also creates new hooks in the brain. In fact, research has shown that if you read a book without ever writing anything, that perhaps is the worst way to read a textbook. So how about you make small notes or highlight within the text itself? 2, make notes of your own, and we've got a dedicated video to help you do that, and I'm going to drop a link in the description box. 3, you could write a blog in your own words. Likewise, some people recall information better when they move around. And research has shown that the act of reading a physical book with your fingers touching the paper leads to far greater recall than reading one online. Likewise, if the content allows, then applying what you're reading leads to a much greater retention. For example, you're reading a music book, then playing the music chords, or you're reading a cookery book and you go and prepare that dish, then the sights and the smells are going to make it an unforgettable experience. Our brain remembers experiences vividly, even lasting a lifetime. So make reading a textbook a sensory experience. Read actively with full involvement. These multiple hooks are going to make your brain like a steel trap to store all the information in your long-term memory. 6 is critical reading. How do we engage the brain in a way that it thinks about the information that we are reading? The first is to become a detective. How about you ask yourself a question before you start reading the text, and you'll be like this detective looking for clues and information. Ask yourself, why did the author say this? Or do I agree with the author's conclusion? Or where is the evidence? Also think about the ramifications and implications of the content in life in general, and perhaps you can also think about how the content relates to you personally, your own preferences, personality and experiences. Step number 7 is to repeat. Repetitions help to solidify our memories. Reread and retell. And if you don't want to read the entire text again and again, you can read the highlighted sections. Sometimes when we read the same thing for the 3rd time, new connections begin to get formed in the brain. Step number 8, condense and simplify. With repeated readings, now you should be able to condense the entire chapter onto a 1 page of notes. This is going to be really useful to you when you're doing that last minute revision. And now for the bonus tips. Bonus tip number 1 is called small segments. Read in small segments of 10 to 15 minutes and take a break. Breaks are very important for your brain to be able to process the information and put it back into your long-term memory. And slowly start increasing the duration of these segments up to 20 or 25 minutes. Bonus tip number 2 is called energy. Read when you're more energized, early in the morning or just after a nap. And stop reading when you feel tired or begin to lose focus. And bonus tip number 3 is called practice. The more you read, the better you become at it. Remember the 10,000 hour rule? So read every day and enjoy reading. So that's all from me, and I hope you benefited greatly from this video, and now you're going to go back and read that textbook more efficiently. I'm going to drop links to related videos in the description box below, and in the meantime press that subscribe button and the bell icon right next to it and give us a thumbs up because that motivates us. And happy watching!